Hari Om everyone. Let's get into today's shloka from Karma Sanyasa Yoga 5.22. Ye hi sansparśha-jā bhogā duḥkha-yonaya eva te ādya-antavantaḥ kaunteya na teṣhu ramate budhaḥ. The pleasures that arise from contact with the sense objects, though appearing as enjoyable to worldly-minded people, are verily a source of misery. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, so the wise do not delight in them. Yea, which he verily, sansparśha-jā, born of contact with the sense objects, bhogāḥ, pleasures, duḥkha, misery, yonayaḥ, source of eva, verily, they are ādya-antavantaḥ, having beginning and end. Kaunteya, Arjuna, the son of Kunti, never, teṣhu, in those, ramate, takes delight, budhaḥ, the wise.
So Ishaji is
Ishaji?
known Arjuna today. You are always special that way. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like there was a time my daughter was in the class where she said, like, including me, there are only 3 students. So it's like the teacher cannot take her eyes anywhere else.
Like that time, Sarvananji very special, okay? Even if there are 50, 100 students also, first question will come to me, or the toughest question will come to
Okay. So good. You're used to it now then.
You know, the best is, they used to take my name when I'm absent also, if there is noise in class. So this shloka, I think it's from like previous shlokas, whatever we have gone through, but the emphasis is given on, I feel that whatever we think is making us happy, something that we see also, we become happy with that. Some nice things is told to us, we are happy. Something we get, we are happy. All this is all temporary. I think we have discussed is all this are something that is related to the feeling, the outward feeling, which can change. In one of the shlokas, I don't remember which one, we said the same object which can be enjoyable at one moment cannot be enjoyed at another moment. Say, for instance, a hot bowl of soup, which is given in winter, taste and what it does to our body, same thing if it is given when, you know, the when it's peak summer, like 52, 53 degree, and somebody gives you a hot bowl of soup and you're sweating, you will not like it. But the soup is the same. But the time which we get it is different. So immediately we say, this is not good. What we got is not good. So something that will give you pleasure only during certain time, people value that more than something that is eternal. So this is what I feel this shloka means for me. So that's about it, Sarvananji, if you ask me something.
The last part, what you say, like eternal, you are comparing the eternal to?
Anything that is like forever, it will remain the same, right? See, there are many things like for instance,
Are there any things that give eternal pleasure?
There can be a lot of things that can give eternal pleasure, just being. I feel the most important thing that will always be with yourself is, I think, if you are true to yourself, I feel like that, you know, if in case I'm doing something, there is always very thin line between being honest and being outright rude, no? So if you're honest and if you're not mean and if you're truthful to what you're doing, I think that will give you, happiness throughout, though you will suffer in at that moment.
So that's so it was not eternal happiness.
You will think, Tarananji, what I feel, no? So imagine, I don't know what is it. You have that running race which they put that obstacle, no? I don't know what is it called. You have to jump and go. I don't know what is that running race called. So imagine I am participating in that running race and then I don't get first prize. I'll say, if only these things were not put in my track, I would have come first. I can say that. But I am the one who chose that, right? I could have as well gone and done running race. I will choose my path, then I will find problems in that path which I choose only, and then I will say this didn't give me happiness at that particular time. So either you see it like that, or you say take it like I choose this, I will do what best I can do, being truthful to what I am doing.
So you are already saying you are going beyond the actual happiness or the sadness that you get from the direct senses.
Yeah, that is.
This one is talking about the direct senses.
Yeah, direct senses is always cheating you only.
Always cheating.
Always cheating you. You like it, you don't like it, you hate it, and then immediately you'll start liking it. It's always like that only.
We have sweets, and when the sweet is in front, it's very difficult to say no.
Yeah. See, when you don't have, I like money. Same thing if one thieves or income tax come, I don't like the same money, right? It's very.
Is it at the understanding level, or are we able to like you are able to implement it?
To its greater ways, I relate to that. But if you're asking experience, I am very, very, what you call that, impulsive. Instantly, I will. My bubble will burst. Instant it is. I can instantly be happy, I can instantly be sad. But if you just give me like if I give myself the 10 seconds, no, then I'll become like, what is right, I will do. But that first 10 seconds is very tough for me.
I think that's the subconscious, right? The habitual response, and then later on it's a conscious one. Yeah. And,
all emotions have to be controlled, no? Even your happiness also has to be in a controlled way.
Yeah. All these sadhanas are towards that only, I feel like. To slowly change the habits and move towards that conscious doing or talking or feeling than the unconscious ones.
True, Sarvanandji.
Yeah. Shubhaji, any questions, comments, or you want to share?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I will just share my understanding. I would like to take an example here. For example, I am very fond of chocolates. But if I keep on eating chocolates, that is for my sense gratification. So if I keep on enjoying chocolate for my sense gratification, I'll reach a stage where I will become diabetic or obese. All sorts of problems will come. That is where Krishna is saying source of misery. So when we go for this sense objects enjoyment, we end up being miserable. But when we are because that has an end and a beginning also. But if we become wise and not get into all those things, just like Sant Tulsidas, he was told by his wife not to get involved in all these things, sense pleasures, and told him to get the devotion of God. That is when he rose above himself and became a big saint. So that is how I see the shloka. So we have to rise above all our sense gratification and sense this thing, and be in the devotion of God, that is Sri Krishna, and realize ourselves that we are beyond all these sense objects. That is when the real gratification comes. Yes.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It took, yeah, it definitely takes time, right, to reach. It looks like
Yes.
all three of us we are able to appreciate or accept right away, in the sense it has taken time, and we have crossed the time to
Takes a lot of
understand
time
that.
and practice.
Yeah, like unlike the previous one, oh, attachment is not that easy to give up. But here, like, yeah, sense pleasure, I know, yeah, it's limited time. That ice cream, it's
Yes.
like that, for that moment only it gives, and after that, like, did I have that ice cream? I can't even remember. I have to go for one more to figure out. It's just that instant momentary joy, pleasure. That's it. And after that, like, it leaves you craving for it again. And one thing I see is, for that one to rise above, uh, getting wise, and having that strong commitment, is where I feel the test happens seriously. Like, let's say you want to give up. I want to give up on the sweets. Then I see that the sweets just keep coming.
That
Like, I
becomes
didn't
daily
ask.
advanced.
I'm not buying. I didn't ask. It just keeps coming. And like, you keep saying no, 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 and then like say, no, no, you can take a little bit half. It's okay. And then like it goes on. So, and that way, the same thing I see when I'm in the society, uh, playing this drama, all these things keep coming, right? You say that, like, again, listen, ears, right? Oh, music is good, but then, like, what, how much you'll keep hearing all that thing. Better than that is like listen to satsang and this, right? And then, like, that is the time you will see that more and more people play music around me. So, to the commitment, or the what is the right word, is the challenge is to rise above the society, where the society is at that layer, bottom layer, going after the sense pleasures, and like, you are this one, like, no, what, yes, I realize now I want to get detached, get away from this. But then there is this, the legs are being pulled down. Right,
Our
so
willpower is tested.
willpower is tested, and even now I feel like, I'm in sync with all the teaching. It's like so simple, straightforward teaching, right? When I am attending, but then the more I'm leaning towards it, I see the rest of the week I am just pulled into
Application becomes
into
problem.
into the samsara, and I just wait for that. Okay, let that Saturday come.
I think that is good only in satsang after that.
That is what I'm saying, right? Uh, to keep thinking about this, and then, like, consciously uh, stay with the teaching that I am 100% aligned with, convinced with, right? These days, I just start talking about this to people around me also. That is the only way I can put the shield. Right?
True,
So,
true. Better to teach them so that they're also like us. So I do that in my house, and they're giving it back. What did you learn from your Sunday class? Why are you screaming at me? This is like how, Sarvananji, imagine we are on diet, okay, and next to us all are eating nice.
Yeah.
It's better to make all of them health conscious.
Yes. So, yeah, Vijayji. So,
No, very nice. It's like you all know, right? People who drink alcohol, they don't like to simply sit and drink by themselves. They want a company. So
yes.
yeah, so good. So it's really nice because at the end of the day, you know the framework in for that matter in any aspect of life, no? How do you become an expert in something? The framework is very simple. There's a knowledge, there is a skill, and then you need to apply, right?
Yeah.
So the knowledge has to get converted into skill, and then only you'll be able to apply. I know everything that is there to know about all kinds of, let's say, ice creams is not going to really help. But I need to know how to put all that knowledge into making it, right? And as I keep making it, I become a very good chef one day, right? So therefore, that's a common journey, common framework, knowledge, skill, and application. So here, all of you already have grasped the intent of Sri Krishna. So at the end of the day, why is he teaching this? Again, Sri Krishna is pointing at the most obvious things that we are involved with in a day-to-day basis, but we may be missing it. Many times we may not have examined it in this way. We may not have seen it from this viewpoint. What is that is being taught here? Look, whatever comes through your senses, they have a beginning and an end. So whatever it may be, however wonderful it may be, however superb it may be, however luxurious it may be, doesn't really matter what kind of qualification you attach. It is a beginning and an end. So in a way, he's prompting us to understand the mechanism of this. So let's just, for the sake of understanding, let's look at it from a different viewpoint. So if I ask anyone of you, what is a computer? How would you answer? What is a computer? All of you here are computer literate. So what is your definition of what is a computer? Ishaji, what is your definition of what is a computer?
Computer will make our work easier.
Something that makes our work easier. Excellent. Shubhaji's definition?
It's a distractive device.
With internet, Shubhaji, otherwise, Papa, it won't do anything to us.
Very nice. It's a destructive device. Okay. Saravaji's viewpoint is?
Yeah, computers, something, it has the input, and then like you ask, you feed what you want, and then like it computes and gives you.
Excellent. Right? And some of us may also look at the computer as, hey, this is what is earning us bread and butter. This is a profession. So anyway, purely as a, if you and I were to define it, very simple, right? It is a machine that can compute and remember. If you really think about it, that's all it does. It keeps on computing. What it computes, that's a separate issue. But it keeps on computing something. And in computation, it is much, 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 much faster than what a human being, what you and I can do. That is its advantage. And it can also remember, especially with nowadays, with the cloud and whatnot, it can pretty much remember a whole lot of things, much more than, what you and I can consciously remember. That is the advantage of this machine, something that computes and remembers, right? Now, the question is, how does it do? How does it do? See, for example, you and I see things in the world, right? We see tree, forest, mountain, river, husband, wife, children, house, car, hundreds of different and varieties of things. How does a computer actually see and remember? Computer doesn't really see any of this, and computer really doesn't remember any of this. All of you know, at the foundation level, computer only knows 1 and 0 in one sense. So that's all it is. It simply knows a series of 1 and 0. That's all it knows. And then on top of it, various kinds of mechanisms are needed in order to make it see a person, a tree, a number. So various kinds of ways of grouping the information. But at the most foundational layer, it simply is something that continuously is seeing a stream of 1 and 0, and it uses that to compute, and it remembers 1 and 0. A whole lot of billions and billions and billions of these 1s and 0s is what it remembers. So if you put all the information that Google presents you, and if you go into the machine and ask, what do you know? I know simply a lot of 1 and 0. That's all a computer would answer, if at all it were to speak. That's all it knows. It's on top of this that a human being has put a whole lot of structure and meaning to make it this piece of information. For example, these 4 things together will represent a tree. These 4 things will represent a person. These 4 things together will represent, like that. A meaning has been associated with the information that has been stored, are fundamentally what we call as the bits that have been stored in the computer. Right? This is how all of us know how a computer actually sees and remembers, or how it computes. Right? Now, what is the connection of that to the shloka? But before we go there, there is a wonderful short video that I found about how actually a computer computes. A nice way of looking at it. Let's look at this and then we'll come back.
The computer is rather like a little office which has 2 hatches. You feed information and instructions into the office through the input hatch, and the results of your instructions are dished out to you at the output hatch. Inside the office is a very literal-minded clerk who can only carry out one very simple instruction at a time. He is called Central Processing Unit, or CPU for short. CPU has access to 2 little boxes. One is called ROM, which stands for read-only memory, and is filled with permanent instructions on how to do his office work. And the other is called RAM, which stands for random access memory. And this is where CPU holds whatever information or instructions that you care to give him from time to time. For example, some instructions like this, CPU will put straight into his RAM box and then go away and mark time until you give him the command run. CPU will then return to the RAM box and read the first instruction, which tells him to print something. CPU promptly nips across to his ROM box and looks up how to print. Then he prints something and gives it to you at the output hatch. Next, CPU trots over to his RAM box again and reads the next instruction, which contains the command go to. Back to the ROM box to find out how to go to, then go to instruction number 1 in the RAM box, which tells CPU to print something. Then it's over to the ROM box to find out how to print, because CPU has forgotten already. Then he prints something and gives it to you at the output hatch. Then back to the RAM box to read the next instruction, which contains the order go to. Of course, he's forgotten that, so over to the ROM box to find out how to go to. Then go to instruction number 1 in the RAM box, which tells CPU to print something. Then back again to the ROM box to find out how to print, and so on and so on and so on. The only thing that keeps this dim-witted little bureaucracy in business is that CPU moves with lightning speed. So fast, in fact, that he can give you the illusion that you're dealing with a very clever outfit indeed. You no sooner ask for something than it's done. The naive reality behind this illusion is hidden from you, because all that this office consists of is CPU and his 2 memory boxes, ROM and RAM, and the input and output hatches. And that's all that any computer consists of. And even this can be reduced to 3 basic elements when you come right down to it: input, output, CPU, and memory.
So that's how
The computer is rather like a little office which has
thing that keeps continuously running, what it called as computation, right? So now, if you really think about it, a human, what is a human? Is a very similar computer. There are 5 input elements through which, something is coming, and that is processed in something called as our computer, which is nothing but our brain. And that is given as an instruction or as an output through our 5 action organs. So the jnanendriyas are like the input hatch that we saw in that movie. And the karmendriyas are like the output hatch where the output is given. And in order to do this, there is something called as a brain, which has 2 parts, an analytical part and an emotional part. Analytical part is all about math, reasoning. Emotional part is about art and creative. But fundamentally, this computer also is constantly, this machine also is constantly running. It is also running. What it is running, that computer is running whatever you have fed into it as a program. This computer is also running a program. And what it is running on, it is simply using the 5 senses, and whatever that is coming in, what is coming in is also being interpreted here. Because what is out there, this, whatever the brain doesn't really know, it cannot really see. It can only see and sense based on the sensations that it is coming inside. It assumes what is out there. It assumes what is out there. So for example, the eye brings some sensation and the brain assumes that I'm looking at an elephant. It is very easy to deceive the eye and the brain together to give an impression that there is really an elephant, especially with all these holographic lenses. If you make the holographic lens on top of the eye, it feels as if like, they're seeing an elephant, but there is no real elephant there, out there. So in one sense, it is very similar. What is out there is not really known to this brain, but it constantly receives various sensations through these 5 input organs, or what we call as sense organs, and constantly it is interpreting, like how that computer is constantly receiving ones and zeros, and a group of 1 and 0, it says, oh, this is, I'm right now processing data related to a person. Oh, this one I need to add together. Like that, some program has been built into the computer. And because of that, it looks at the stream of 1 and 0 and organizes them. It gives a certain bunch of them a name called as, oh, this is a person, this is a computer, this is a tree, this is a something. Oh, now I need to add these 2. Like that is how a computer is working. Very similarly, this human computer is also constantly seeing all these sensations through these 5 senses. What is ultimately coming into the brain? If you were to sit inside the brain, and if you were to notice what is coming into the brain, nothing but a series of electrical pulses. If you were to look at what the brain is seeing, there are instruments called as EEGs, which can actually look at what is happening in the brain, some activity. If you were to look at the brain is simply receiving a series of electrical impulses, series of them, much like a computer. In computer, usually a slightly higher voltage is called as 1, slightly lower voltage is called as 0. And a series of them are passing through wires continuously. And that is what is being observed by something called as a computer. And it is using that series of 1s and 0s, or high and low, to make certain computation happen. Very similarly, the human brain. If you were to sit inside the human brain, it has no vision of the outside world. Simply the senses, the 5 senses, are bringing in various kinds of sensations. Or in other words, Very similar to a digital computer, electrical impulses, slightly higher voltage and slightly lower voltage electrical impulse. When there is no voltage, no sensation. When there is slightly higher voltage, it is something related to some aspect. But the wonderful nature of it is that it is all happening so fast that it gives a appearance of as if it is very immediately happening. In one sense, you have never dealt with the real world. You've never dealt with world in real time. You've always been dealing with a copy of the world. Please think about it. You've always been dealing with a copy of the
presented,
Huh?
something that is presented as world, and you've been that this is world.
No, not only that, a copy. See, for example, let's assume there is an elephant out there. You never know what an elephant is really like. But what is happening? That elephant, let's say when you're seeing, right? That elephant comes into the eyes. And here, nothing but electrical impulses comes into the brain. And the brain is now dealing with that electrical impulse as if it's an elephant. So what are you dealing with? The elephant, if let's say the elephant is out there, you're not dealing with the elephant out there. You're dealing with the electrical impulses that have come into your brain and formed an image of an elephant. So you're always dealing with a copy of the so-called world. So it's your own personal copy. Much like how your browser works. You go to your browser and you type, let's say, for example, news.google.com. Some big server is sitting somewhere and it is holding all that data and it makes a copy of the data and it pushes to you. You are looking at your computer, your browser, thinking that I am reading the newspaper. It is a copy. Much like how every day in the morning, you used to receive newspaper, no? In last night, some news print machine printed all of it. In the morning, all 100 homes every home is feeling, I have a copy. I have my newspaper, but it is a copy. It is not the newspaper. It is a copy of the newspaper. Like that, you are constantly only dealing with a copy of your husband, copy of your wife, copy of your son, copy of your money, copy of whatever it is that you call as, my things or not my things, what you call as the world. The world that you're dealing with is a copy. And this copy is constantly streaming. Just like how a computer is constantly receiving from the input, no? And it is constantly giving to the output, no? Very similarly, through your machine called this brain, the series of sensations are flowing, and a series of sensations are flowing to so-called action organs based on some processing that happens here. And this processing is also very much like that computer, that clerk, no? He forgets things. He simply knows what to do. Like that, this computer here, this clerk who's sitting inside you called, you know who I am, the me. That me is also very much like that computer fellow. Conditioned. Every day morning, 6 o'clock, coffee you have to drink. He's conditioned. So he once again runs that program. Coffee, where is coffee? Where is coffee? So if there is no coffee, he is programmed to get annoyed. If there is coffee, he is programmed to become happy. So you're constantly, this program is running in the mind. And it is running, and it is series of sensations are coming through the input. It is processing, and series of signals are being given to the outside. That is nothing but the action organs. So in a way, you're always only dealing with some make-believe world. Yes, Sarunanji.
So have you been able to manipulate in a positive way? You know that the internals of how it's working. Okay. Yeah. It's like forget, like one is like self correction, which is what we are like, we figured out that we are going towards that happiness, and then we are trying to manipulate and correct it. You can also do it with everyone, right? Okay, son. Okay, son. Okay, this is what he's going to do. Okay, if I do this, he will do this.
So
Right?
that's how we are constantly learning to deal with the world, no? So the wife is constantly figuring out how to tweak or tune or program the husband. The husband is constantly learning how to escape from the programming that the wife is doing. The son is always looking at how do I outsmart my mother. So like that, everyone is constantly programming, reprogramming,
Yeah.
and we all are running our own programmed clerks inside our mind.
Our RAM here is being rewritten also.
Yeah, constantly.
Unlike the computer's one, which is not rewritten.
Yeah. So you have a choice
To
now to become a victim of this program that is running, or to realize that this is how the machine is working, and you are simply the one who's watching this machine work this way. You are not the machine. You are not the machine. You are seeing the machine in operation.
one which is powering the machine.
You are the one in whose presence the machine is like the electricity. The machine needs electricity. You are like that electricity. You are neither the clerk, you are nor the input, nor the output, nor the program. None of that are you. You are that electricity which powers the computer. And the best thing is, you also have the ability to rewrite your RAM. You have the ability to choose or not choose whatever instructions that are naturally coming in the so-called mind. As soon as a sensation comes, the way the mind is already storing the instructions, it will pop up. Oh, this is a good thing that is happening right now. It will pop up. Oh, it's a bad thing that is happening right now. So all that are stored. Whether I should act based on the stored or not is also your choice. So in a way, what is it you and I are running? You and I are simply running this wheel of karma. This what we call as this chakra. What is the basis of this chakra? To begin with, I have a desire and I perform some action and I receive some fruit of the action. So this is the natural cycle. And what is making me say I like it or I don't like it? Based on that, I cause various kinds of impressions, vasanas. I want coffee in the morning. It has become a vasana. How it has become a vasana? Because I have continuously practiced drinking coffee and feeling that, it's very nice. Oh, I feel it's so enjoyable. So I have practiced. Because of that practice, now it has become a vasana. And what is the basis of this vasana? And this entire cycle is my own ignorance of from where I am getting the pleasure. What is making me really happy? So the source of all this cycle is fundamentally this thing called as avidya, ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of from where I am receiving this so-called happiness. So therefore here Sri Krishna is showing us, look, your sense happiness. He's not denying that, there's a pleasure from the senses. When you drink coffee, you all have experienced, oh, it feels nice, no. You feel energized, you feel a lot more open. So he's not denying the sense pleasure. He's not saying that there is no sense pleasure. He's saying, understand that the sense pleasure is a temporary phenomena. It is not a permanent phenomena. And there is something then that is much more than all of this temporary happiness. So realize what that is. In order to prompt you and me, is showing the temporary nature of the cycle that we are constantly running, the wheel that we are constantly churning, the computer that you and I constantly are running. So once when I realize what is truly the source of my pleasure? Is it the coffee? Yeah, the coffee I drank and I became so bright. But is it the coffee? there is a certain chemical, and then when that chemical interacts with this machine is nothing but another set of chemicals. It is bound to create a certain outcome. When I had coffee, for some time, I lost the feeling that I have not had coffee. And when I lost the feeling that I have not had coffee, my mind became quiet. In the quietness of the mind, something which is permanently within me was shining forth. And that is what I later recognized as pleasure. So in a way, that pleasure must be inside only. How? Because you all gave other examples. Chocolate, I keep eating chocolate. After some time, I feel not so pleasure. But something else I eat. So then I suddenly start feeling pleasure. So what it means, it is not that object that is giving me the pleasure. It must be coming from somewhere else. What is the source of that? Then it must be not in that object that I'm consuming. I can consume objects only through 5 senses. Ahara, the word ahara is not only what I eat. What I see is also ahara, because it is getting consumed by my brain, right? My mind. My mind is the ultimate consumer of all these sensations that are coming in. Even the food that I put into my mouth is nothing but is becoming a sensation, and it is going to my mind as a sensation. So ultimately, these 5 senses are feeding constantly some ahara to my mind. Streams of sensations. And these streams of sensation, I have started grouping them as, oh, this is that, this is this. Oh, I want this, I don't want this. So likes, dislikes, wants, don't wants, raga, dvesha, all are to whatever that is coming through my 5 senses. So here Sri Krishna is showing the temporary nature of these sensory sensations. By that, he is also prompting us to examine then what is permanent, then what is the source of the pleasure that I experience. So this is how Sri Krishna is teaching us. All right? Hari Om. Any further points, any questions? Ishaji, is there something else? Is there anything else that you would like to add or ask?
Not now, Vijay sir. My processing unit is little slow. I will take it slow. It will come after some time only.
It's processing.
Yeah, it is very slow.
But whatever sensation that came in, did it all make sense?
Yeah. Now I have to think, whenever I have to think like, what was I doing for certain things? So I'm trying to relate that. But, Vijay sir, all this, okay. Now, for me, the main question is, as me, like here, what am I? Like, I'm sitting here at home. I'm a wife, daughter, mother. How do I implement this in my day-to-day life? As Saravanan-ji said, suddenly we lose track. All these are theoretical, okay? How do we, control the senses and how do we go about it?
No, Krishna is not talking about, hey, you should control or you should get rid. What is he saying? See, by helping you realize the mechanism of how it is working, he's giving you a choice. Whether you want to continue to indulge, and when you indulge, you will have whatever is the outcome of that indulgence, which is happiness or sadness. He is not at all saying, do this way or that way. He's not seen in none of these sentences he's saying, give up. He's simply saying, look, Arjuna, the sensors bring sensations, and the sensations have a particular beginning and an end. And people who indulge in them naturally will get into misery, because that is the nature of it. Because once when the sensations are there, you feel pleasure. When the sensations end, you once again feel, yo, I want that pleasure.
It's like drinking and drugs only, no, sir, as long as you're
Of course,
happy.
absolutely. So each one of us is addicted. Each one of us is addicted. We simply call somebody else as an alcoholic. That fellow is visible alcoholic. You and I are also alcoholics.
Yeah, some liquor we are. We don't know which liquor we are.
No, that liquor that you and I are drunk on is called as Maya Madira. The Madira or the alcohol called Maya. This Madira called Maya is what you and I are constantly drinking and feeling, ayo, or aha. You and I are also very much. So for that's why he's saying here, Krishna, however, Arjuna, a wise one do not delight in them. What does it mean? Does it mean that, he will not drink coffee? Does it mean that he will not go and eat in a restaurant? Does it mean that he will not see a movie? Does it mean that, he will not indulge in some, say, for example, maybe, say, for example, there is somebody who says that this particular drink is very nice. It's so cool in this hot weather. So you will feel refreshed. Does it mean that he will say, no, no, no? No, not like that. What Krishna is saying is, the wise one has recognized limitation of such sensory pleasure. When you recognize the limitation, you use when it is there. When it is not there, don't crave for it. That's all it is.
Yeah, I also want to respond to that theory practice thing. It comes up also in the day-to-day life, where people say that, you know what, this theory, when I apply it, I will figure it out. Or like, when I face the situation, I will learn it. Okay, so one example can be this, right? So you are attending a theory session where like you have, let's say it's for a child. Okay, so the child is being told, it's a fire, don't put your hand. If you put your hand, it will burn you. Now, this is theory. Okay, now how do you want to take it from here? Right? Certain teaching gives an immediate result. Oh, that's theory. I want to try it. I want to test it. So put your hand. You will really get burnt, right away. Now, this is like an instant result also. Now, there are certain things which gives a delayed result. Smoking is injurious to health. Okay, it's like that the pictures and all, if you see, right, it's very dangerous, and like that is theory. And then it's given. Now the guy smokes. Still, okay, I'm fine. Okay, now how do you want to take it? It's like whatever the theory is wrong. Okay, can you say that the theory is wrong? Or like one day that person reaches that state where it is really like it's just that the injury that it caused, it was not visible, or the person did not perceive it immediately. But then it internally went and it keeps damaging the part, and then one day when it has reached a stage where like the person comes to know, oh, okay, something really has gone bad. Right? So I think that's where the difference between this, what he's saying, right? Wise do not delight. The wise is someone like who is able to figure out and the right time, and like not having to wait for an experience to go and test it, saying why will someone test it there also, right? If I don't believe in that theory or in the person who is teaching, right? He is saying, I don't know if he has figured out properly, or that he is teaching from that book. I don't know if what is there in the book is right, because these days if you see all our textbooks, everything can be debated, right? Because every few years they're also changing the text. or the teacher, if the teacher has a bias, the teaching from the teacher is that way. So we doubt, right? But then based on like what is the text, who is the teacher, that is where the wise has to figure out that, okay, you know what, if this based on this person, this text, I'm not going to doubt it, because doubting is just not going to help me.
I would just add one sentence to what Sarvanji is saying. So that what Sarvanji is describing is faith. Yes, I have to have faith. However, the mind has a natural tendency to question.
Yeah.
So I have to channelize the natural tendency of the mind to ask, okay, if this is what Krishna is saying, how it is true? That simple question, how it is true? Okay, I am committed to find out how it is true. I am committed to find out whether this is truly possible. The wise do not delight in them. Is there someone, who really doesn't delight? So like that, I have to be a fantastic student of the Bhagavad Gita. In what sense? In looking at the statement and either not completely believing or in completely disbelieving. Rather, how is it true? How can I see the truth of this in my own experience? Is a much more productive way of putting that question. Yes, definitely the faith is important. But at the end of the day, if something is there and it has remained true, a wonderful example Sarvanji gave, textbook information is changing continuously, which means that it may not be a true information. But Bhagavad Gita more or less has remained the same for thousands of years. At least from whatever we know, at least 15,000 years. Mahabharata. But it is much more than that. Because it is said that, Krishna only percolated what was already there in Upanishads and he made Bhagavad Gita. So which means that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is much more ancient than that. We don't even know what time. So something that has remained for such a long period of time must have stood the test of the time. So many circumstances, society, people, and habits, every culture has changed. But if a statement has not changed, then there must be some value. So how can I verify that value? Because at the end of the day, unless I verify, it becomes a mere replica. Somebody told, I am also repeating. That is not going to help me, right? So therefore, that's the only additional point I would like to make on what Sarvanji is saying.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I'm also seeing this paradox, right? Where one has the faith. Let's say that praying Krishna, very simple. I just pray, and like I just, he is my God. But if Krishna has said something, can I live by that words? Then like, oh no, wait. Now I have my own mind and brain, and like I have to be convinced. And but you are praying also, so that is easy, right? So I'm seeing that also. So this is like you're doing this. You are doing two different things, right?
Excellent point. Dichotomy. If I live in that dichotomy, that is what tears me apart. That is what is the source of that stress. So a wise one has somehow been able to work around that dichotomy.
Ishaji, we can apply this to all, even like, let's say you are trying to tell someone, okay, and like you are now struggling to convince. There you can apply this. Okay, why am I struggling? Like, why is the other person not following me right away?
Sarvananji, one thing I've observed is without using terms, when I say things to people, they accept what I'm saying easily. Like, for example, I will, in case I'm saying to somebody, I will not use the term Arjuna, Krishna, Mahabharata. No, like in case we remove all these terms, no, acceptance rate for what I'm saying, I'm getting better. Whether it is coming from my family, like my child, or it's not like, she's saying something again, started with her,
It depends on the receiver. Mainly, if there is bias on the receiver, then obviously, like, let's say if a receiver is bhakta of Krishna, okay, he may take it more when you use the word Krishna. Okay.
Yeah,
If
correct.
the receiver has more respect for you as a person because you have done something, okay, maybe the person will rely on your word. But at the same time, there can be questions, right? Like, are you saying out of what are you saying? Are you repeating something which was told somewhere else? Is it your own theory or is it right? And if you say like, no, my own theory, then like, on what basis? Like, how did we build this theory? How did you build this theory? It's not easy to build a theory like this and go and say that, you know what, I figured out. I just got up today and like, I realized all these things. I think that is also happening, right? There are lot of teachers who are giving teachings like that also. But then at the end of the day, there cannot be a teaching that is already given by Bhagavad Gita. It like somewhere like it will connect. It is just that like the person can say, no, I didn't read. Yeah, obviously it's possible that you have not read, but it is already mentioned there. So it's a bias that, somebody who doesn't want to hear religion, philosophy, then like you can say that, like, I feel like this is what from my experience. You may put it.
Yeah, that's the only way to start them to.
Yeah.
That is just starting. So once they get it's like movie episodes or something like serials, no? First 5-6 episodes will be so bad. Once you sit through it, then that thriller and whatever mystery is there, it unfolds for you. It's like same example, no, Sarananji. You said, that smoking causes. There are few people who get cancer, but then there are few people who have lived up to 95 and died, normal circumstances. Nothing smoking has done to them in terms of smoking. Maybe it has affected their career. Maybe it has affected their family life, their friends, their neighbors because of the smoke, anything. Not everybody likes the smell of the smoke, right? Maybe they have distanced themselves from so many things which they don't even know. So see that, I didn't die. That means smoking is not injurious to health. Direct thing they take it. They don't see the other ways. Like how drinking, there is a saying that you drink, nothing goes right in your life, right? So then they will show you big people, latest story because of drinking only one such a big actress in jail also. So, directly.
They say, Isha-ji, in the world of advertisement and marketing, right? You can pretty much convince a consumer of anything if you repetitively tell that same thing again and again. And it is apparently about 7 times. Okay, so there is a theory of 7 times repetition that works. So that's why if you see advertisements work by repetition. Advertisers want to repetitively show that information again and again and again and again. So an association is built. See, I'm sure you also are in the business world, and it is a common thing, especially if you're in the sales. It is said that be in touch with your customer. Be in touch with your customer. Hey, I have nothing to sell. No, it's okay. Be in touch with your customer. Because it is like an association. So it is said that about 7 times when children see something, right, is when they're able to associate with that. If you see McDonald's, Burger King, how is that association getting built? Even a small child, what are you exposing the child to? You're exposing the child to some television and some mobile. And in that, what advertisements are coming out? These advertisements are coming out. So there is an association built. So the moment the association is built, it pops up. That's how conditioning happens. So it's understanding how the mechanism of the conditioning is happening. So what I'm coming to say is that we can take any topic and we can make you believe in that topic if it is sufficiently repetitively told. Okay.
Told.
Yeah, you can make people start fearing, for example, one another by repetitively telling them how ugly and cruel the other people are. It is very much a phenomena of how to use the mind to construct a picture that is something that you don't want, right? So you can create a picture like that. But what Sri Krishna is doing us here is he's helping you and me see that very nature of the mind which gets into all this conditioning and ask the fundamental question, what is that is getting conditioned and who is the one who's getting conditioned and what is my relationship to these? Am I getting used by my mind, which is nothing but the content of all this conditioning, or am I using the mind? Is the most fundamental question he's raising here. The wise one is able to use the mind, and the one who is yet to master that is getting used by the mind. That's all the differences. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep.
With that, shall we end, Shubhaji? Hari Om.